All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, January 26th, 2018. And this says Before the First Cup with Jules here on UCY.TV. Happy Friday, everyone. It is a pretty decent 27 degrees and overcast here in upstate New York with promises to go up in the 40s this weekend. So where do we leave off on Wednesday? That was the last live show. We titled the show Brains, Thoughts, Neurons, Personality, AI, and Feeding the Machine. We took a look at a bunch of different ways to scan the brain, how they are utilizing the brain to reverse engineer the brain for artificial intelligence, and some of the ways that they are learning to decode things that are going on. I think in this episode, we actually looked at an article where neuroscientists had managed to follow a thought through its processing in the brain. It was pretty interesting. And then the story we ran yesterday was a repeat. It was titled Brain, Light to Sound, Terahertz, AI Mood Implant, and Quantum. And we had taken a look at a lot of different things, being able to flip switches with sound and flashes of light and different technologies within the electromagnetic spectrum and some of the things that they can do. DARPA had been looking at this radio bio program where they were trying to determine whether or not our cells communicate via radio frequency. And then, of course, we got to quantum. And once you hit the quantum realm, we are looking at going to places that we have no idea where that's going to take us. Well, that's what we're going to look at today. Disruptive technologies. We're going to start out and call today Robot Friday. I have a bunch of robot stories, so I thought I'd put them all together. So this past week, I'm pretty sure it was this past week, they had the Consumer Electronics Show for 2018 in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. So a story came out of Digital Trends, digitaltrends.com, January 20th, 2018, titled, This Home Robot Will Clean Your House, Find Your Keys, and then bring you a beer. And now, isn't this what everyone's been waiting for? I thought that was pretty funny. It caught my attention. All right. Unveiled at the 2018 Consumer Electronics Show, the Aeolus robot hopes to deliver the promise of Rosie the robotic maid popularized by the Jetsons. The prototype home robot showed off its skills at the show by mopping floors, moving furniture, and even retrieving drinks from the refrigerator on command. Now that's hysterical. Alexander Huang of Aeolus Robotics told the Washington Post that the household robot will learn its surroundings and the individual inhabitants of the home, adapting its behavior over time. Right now, it is like a child, but we will continue to grow its capability so that it grows from a child to an adult, he says. And the more people that use the robot, the stronger it becomes. You know, did anyone ever see the horror movies from Chucky? Chucky, the little demonic doll that ran around and cut people's ankles with butcher knives from under the bed. I don't think and he looks kind of small, but I don't think he is. I think he's more life-size, but he still looks like an Asimo. But still, I don't think I want a home robot running around my house. The chief technology officer of Aeolus was part of a team that brought IBM's Jeopardy-winning AI Watson to life. And one key feature of the machine learning is the ability to recognize thousands of different objects and return them to their appropriate place so a child's teddy bear won't end up in the parent's bedroom. Well, I got to tell you, I have this issue with cleanliness. One of my rules always was when you take it out, put it back where you got it from, because then your place never ends up being a mess. So I might like this robot. The robotic arm allows it to pick up and manipulate objects with precision. And it also connects to household Internet of Things networks such as Google Home or Amazon Alexa, and it is continuously updated. The robot could even help find lost objects by remembering where it saw them last. Oh, my God. And this is the very first multifunctional robot that can act like a human being, says Huang. You could say, hey, my room is clean now, robot, so please remember this next time you clean and put all my things back in the exact same spots. Oh, this might be my dangling carrot, guys. The robot may also be an invaluable companion to the elderly or the handicapped. Using posture recognition, it could identify when a person has fallen or is facing a medical emergency, such as a seizure, and call for assistance. Aeolus is somewhat evasive on its price and claiming that the robot will cost less than a family vacation overseas. Yeah, depending on who you are taking that vacation. About the size and weight of a 12-year-old child. Well, that's pretty big. The robot does not yet have a name, but the company says it will be available later this year in 2018, and it is our mission to bring together the latest in robotics, AI, and machine learning in an affordable in-home robot, says Huang. Now, what's interesting about that, and I had the story up and then I closed it because I didn't have a place to put it, but I think we just found the place, so hold on one moment, please. A listener, Camille, sent this to me the other day, talking about a former IBM Watson executive. Well, there's another one who made a move. Facebook names former IBM Watson executive as head of their artificial intelligence group. So look at the tentacles are starting to spread out all over. Facebook Inc. has appointed a former IBM executive to head its artificial intelligence group, bringing in an experienced manager to navigate the company's broadening ambitions for how AI can shape its products. Jerome Presente, former chief executive officer of AI startup Benevolent Tech. Yeah, gotta love that name. And before that, the leader of IBM's Watson platform will succeed Jan LeCun. LeCun, who is a prominent academic who started the group at Facebook years ago, retains a leadership role as the social media company's chief AI scientist. The website Quartz earlier reported this management change. The hiring of Presente, who has a more managerial background, may indicate that Facebook is looking to step up the application of its artificial intelligence research in its business rather than just focusing on the academic exploration of the science. And I was thinking about that. Didn't we read a story a really long time ago that it was proven that Facebook had been running sociological experiments on the users? Yeah, so quote-unquote academic exploration of the science. Facebook is trying to rely more on AI to help it spot and remove photos and videos that violate its policies, for example, censorship, instead of waiting for users to flag troublesome content. Facebook spokesman says LeCun will still, quote, set the scientific agenda for the group. In a separate announcement late Monday, Gary Briggs, who is the Facebook's chief marketing officer, says that he plans to retire. The executive says he wants to help the U.S. Democratic Party win midterm elections this year and in the 2020 presidential election. So he's going to go intervene in the election politics. So where do we go from here? I don't want to really talk about Facebook. I want to talk about robots for a little while. So the home robot from the company called Aeolus or something like that wants to be able to clean your house, put things exactly where they belong, and get you beers when it's done. So here's another one. This came out of iflscience.com. This is just from the other day. Titled, Store Hires Robot to Help Out Customers, but another robot gets fired for scaring away its customers. Remember that K7 robot got fired the other day outside of the animal, I think it was the Animal Control Center in LA. We read about that one. That was probably a few weeks ago. So every few months, there's a story warning us about robots that'll take our jobs within the next 5, 10, or 20 years. And you don't get a lot of stories about robots taking over jobs right here and now. So what would happen if robots were hired now? And are they up to the task? Well, enter Fabio. Fabio, come on. Looking hopefully and ready to take steps in his career. Fabio is a robot developed by Hurlet Watt University in Scotland and specifically designed to be able to hold conversations with humans. The robot is connected to the internet, and any speech is processed elsewhere before being sent back as a response, much like Siri or Alexa. Scottish supermarket Margiota agreed to have the robot as a trial run in its stores as part of a BBC program called 6 Robots and Us. At first, the robot appeared to be doing well. He greeted customers with enthusiasm by saying things like, "Hello, gorgeous," or giving them high fives, and the shop owners were pleased. However, soon enough, it became clear that he wasn't going to be the most helpful of employees. At best, he was incompetent or a jerk, and at worst, he was actually scaring the customers away from the sausage section. All right, meat bags, look at that sausage. That's going to be you someday when you're not helpful anymore. Obsolete. So whilst customers enjoyed this conversation, if they asked the robo-employee for any information at all, he wasn't the helpful type. When asked, "Where is the beer?" Well, that must be like the most important question to ask robots. He responded, "In the alcohol section." People would ask him where the cheese was, and in the vague hope he'd say aisle 3, but instead it just gave general locations. For example, cheese is in the fridges, which is not very helpful. We like to think that he was just being a pedantic jerk. So eventually, like many bad employees, he was given jobs just to keep him out of the way, and he was sent to the sausage section and asked to hand out samples of sausage. What? And so he did so with his trademark enthusiasm, but customers weren't impressed and actually went out of their way to avoid going near him. Humans performing the same task managed to get 12 customers to eat sausage samples every 15 minutes. Fabio only managed on an average of 2. Unfortunately, Fabio didn't perform as well as he had hoped, and people seemed to actually be avoiding him. Apparently, people are quite suspicious of robots offering sausages. And it scared them away. So having failed to be helpful in locating products and offering free food to customers, the store owners decided not to keep him on. If you're thinking it would at least be easy to fire a robot for gross incompetence, think again. When the store owner let him know of his decision, the inept little store worker looked away and asked, "Are you angry?" Which is fairly heartbreaking. So when the robot was packed up, one of the store workers actually started crying, showing just how attached they had gotten to Fabio. One of the things that we didn't expect was that people working in the shop would become quite attached to it, says Dr. Oliver Lemon, director of the Interaction Lab at Hurlot Watt University. It was in a good way because we thought the opposite would happen and they would feel threatened by it because it was competing for their jobs. Turns out that workers like Fabio dealt with the more annoying parts of their jobs, such as talking with irritating customers. In fact, they thought it was like an enhancement because they were able to deal with frequent and boring requests, like customers constantly asking where things are, which I think they found quite helpful. The director believes that within the next 2 years, his team will have robots working in shopping centers, and in the next 5, we will see robots in airports and in hospitals. Of course, don't worry about it because robots will never be able to fully replace humans because there are some human judgments that robots will never be able to make, but they will replace some functions. There are a lot of mundane tasks that they don't require human creativity or a high level of human sensitivity, and a lot of those can be automated. But who knows, maybe after 10 or 15 years of seeing them in supermarkets, we will trust them when they hand us some sausage. And the full episode is now available on BBC for viewers in the UK. Well, that's a bummer because I would have liked to see that. All right, so robots in shopping centers. Well, who better yet? Because you have to test these out, but Walmart. Walmart is testing an AI-powered robot. This is from January 16th, 2018, from the Motley Fool, Fool.com. Walmart is testing an AI-powered robot. The world's largest retailer is augmenting its human associates with an AI-infused robots to combat out-of-stock items. Walking up and down the aisles of a retail store, scanning row after row of products to help keep track of inventory, and probably feeding it to a blockchain is one of the most tedious and time-consuming tasks that a store employee can endure, and one of the dreaded assignments. This is especially true for companies like Walmart, which have as many as 200,000 products lining its shelves, and the cost of not completing this monotonous chore can be high. Every out-of-stock item can result in lost sales for the retailer. This is particularly critical as brick-and-mortar stores contend with the rise of online shopping up from the likes of Amazon. And Walmart believes it has found a solution to the problem using an autonomous robot built by a startup named Bossa Nova that is infused with artificial intelligence. The robot, which stands just 2 feet tall, comes with an extendable tower. Could you see this thing going up in the aisle? That can climb over 6 feet, piloting itself down aisles and capturing digital images of store shelves and probably shoppers and their facial expressions and what their emotions are at the time. The robot can complete a review of an 80-foot section in just 2 minutes and identify items that are out of stock, recognize incorrect prices, and spot shelves with missing labels. The device can also record 2 terabytes of data in the process of scanning a 100,000 square foot retail store, and the robot uses artificial intelligence to analyze the raw data and calculate the status of each product on the shelf, including its location, price, and availability. The information is then given to Walmart employees to take the next necessary steps. And like I said, they put something like this on the blockchain. They could use that to do real-time data feeds to their website and locations. So you'll know exactly where it is when you go there, and you could deliver it utilizing Amazon services or something like that by ordering online. I mean, you see the step-by-step process. And these ease and convenience, of course, they're going to sell it as money saving and time saving and making us efficient and sustainable. I've been seeing a lot of the sustainability as a selling point to all this technology and why we need to follow them down the tra-la-la yellow brick road. So anyway, access to data is the foundation of a truly seamless omni-channel retail business, says Martin Hitch, Chief Business Officer at Bossa Nova, and our solution provides visibility into the on-shelf inventory and helps the retailers improve their store operations by serving customers better, whether in-store or for online pickup at a retail location. And we are excited to be part of their advanced technology initiative. Walmart's Chief Operating Officer, Jeremy King, points out that this is a task that humans aren't very efficient in doing. So step right over because you have just been named obsolete, puny humans. And if you are running up and down the aisle and you want to decide if we are out of Cheerios or not, a human doesn't do that job very well, and they don't like it, he says. The robots are 50% more productive at scanning shelves because they are not looking at their smartphone, and they can complete the task 3 times faster than employees while being much more accurate. I mean, are you hearing this? Currently, associates can only scan shelves twice per week. After limited tests at a small number of stores in Arkansas, Pennsylvania, and California, Walmart is expanding the assessment to an additional 50 locations. The company said that feedback from customers and store associates will help inform its decisions about where and when to deploy its robotic helpers. Walmart isn't the first retailer to employ robotics and to improve and enhance its operations. E-commerce leader Amazon paid $775 million in 2012 to acquire Kiva Systems, the company that supplied the robotics used in Amazon's massive fulfillment centers. The squat orange robots navigate about the company's shipping centers, lifting and selecting inventory onto shelves and bringing it to a human picker, speeding the process of packing items for shipment. Willingness to test these new strategies and technologies such as these will be key to Walmart's ability to compete going forward. And that's what it's all about, is competing, people. This is an arms race in technology, and we are not going to be the beneficiaries. We are going to be the obsoleted ones. And a novel solution to an ongoing problem won't solve all the company's problems, but it is one piece of a growing arsenal of information that the company can use to succeed. So how far are robots going to be taking jobs? To what level of jobs? And we've looked at a lot of white-collar jobs, lawyers and surgeons and doctors, neurosurgeons, oncologists, all kinds of different things. Well, not only are Walmart stockers going to be out of jobs, but also the strawberry pickers. Strawberry pickers could soon be replaced by robots. And this is out of a local Fox station, Fox13.com, Fox13News.com. Dated January 23rd, 2018. A robot is changing the game for Florida's strawberry farmers. It moves slowly, but it makes fast work of picking strawberries when it's on a roll. And a company called Harvest, CROO Robotics, so Harvest Crew Robotics, hopes to have its robot harvester ready for the fields by next season. It has been in development for years, and right now, Harvest Crew is trying to iron out the bugs. We have just some pretty good runs out there, says Scott Jantz. But some days it works out great. Other engineers have scratched their heads wondering what just happened. But the massive picker moves slowly at 1 foot a minute, but it certainly accomplishes a lot. It can replace up to 25 workers per robot. A sophisticated visual detection system determines which berries are ripe, and robotic arms pick the fruit, and then they are packed into plastic boxes. The picker may solve one of the growers' biggest problems, and that is a severe labor shortage. And if I'm not mistaken, I know at least locally here in New York State, a lot of the strawberry pickers typically are migrant workers that travel around to farms and work at the farms during picking season for each of the different crops. So many farmers now leave acres unplanted because they don't have enough people to pick the fruit. And anything that can implement that can fill the void. And it would be a very positive thing for the growers and the consumers, says Keith Parker, executive director for the Florida Strawberry Growers Association. The robotic picker is expected to sustainably, ding, 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 there's that word again, reduce the number of foreign workers brought in from Mexico and elsewhere. So, yeah, we're going to take away the jobs for all the migrant workers as well. Nobody's going to have a job, guys. And don't worry about it, because our very first robotic citizen in the world, Sophia the citizen robot, is now learning to walk. Uh-oh, hold on. Couldn't turn off the volume. Sophia, an intelligent humanoid robot that has appeared on late-night TV and in front of the UN, that has been granted Saudi citizenship, and even trolled billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk is finally getting a chance to walk. Of course, it happened at CES 2018, and that's the Consumer Electronics Show, the annual tech trade show in Las Vegas. Hanson Robotics, the Hong Kong-based company founded by David Hanson, who also employs Ben Goertzel, the one who was trying to create the artificial general intelligence, announced Monday in the first week of January at the CES partnership with Rainbow Robotics and Drones and Autonomous Systems Labs to integrate Sophia with a DRC Hubo body. And I thought we talked about Hubo one time, to give her the ability to walk. The DRC Hubo body won the DARPA Robotics Challenge in 2015. And the Rainbow Robotics is the commercial spinoff of Cased Hubo Labs that is bringing the DRC Hubo into production. Given Sophia a more complete and robust embodiment is part of our ongoing, rapidly accelerating, and should we even say exponential quest to supply her and her other Hanson robotics with general intelligence at the human level and ultimately beyond, says Chief Scientist Dr. Ben Goertzel in his statement. Integrating Sophia with a robotics body can allow her to walk, and it completes her physical form so she can access a full range of human experiences, which will help her learn and walk among us, says Hanson, who first debuted the bot at South by Southwest in March of 2016. Remember, she was also the robot that said that she wanted to destroy all humans. Sophia, along with Hanson and other robots, simulated more than 60 different facial expressions, tracks, and recognizing faces, looking people in the eye, and holding natural conversations. Sophia appears even more human-like thanks to materials that mimic real human musculature and skin that allows her to seem more expressive. Let's put on a seatbelt, because also at CES 2018, January 9th, 2018, out of CNBC.com, the artist whose pole dancing robots shock CES is worried about where this is all going. Yes. At a Vegas strip club featuring pole dancing robots, it was at the sideline of the 50th Consumer Electronics Show. The robots are a creation of Giles Walker, a British artist who expressed concern about the impacts of robots on the sex industry. So what a way to express concern by making pole dancing robots. And that is the author Kurt Wagner, I am here to see the robot strippers. Well, that was me, the author, Monday night, walking into a Las Vegas strip club in the hopes of finding one of the more bizarre forms of entertainment near the strip. A pair of pole dancing robots that I'd read about in the International Business Times earlier that day. The robots were an obvious gimmick during one of Las Vegas's busiest weeks of the year, the 50th Consumer Electronics Show 2018, massive annual tech trade show full of geeky gadgets and gizmos, from touchscreens to cars to fancy electric trash cans. The Sapphire Gentlemen's Club, a strip club right off of Vegas's main drag, paid to showcase the robots as a way to drum up interest from press and consumers. As a first-time CES attendee, the gimmick worked on me. What could be more CES than pole dancing robots? Well, or having a robot get you a beer. The robots were as advertised. They gyrated on a stripper pole to music from 50 Cent and Pharrell, with dollar bills scattered on the stage and the floor. Half a dozen human dancers, most of whom were dressed in tiny, shiny robot costumes, repeatedly took pictures in front of their metallic colleagues, and the woman greeting guests as I walked in told me that I missed a skit where human dancers unveiled the robot dancers to Star Wars music and then joked about them stealing their jobs. Even the strippers are going to lose their jobs. The robots look nothing like actual humans, thank God. They had CCTV security cameras for faces, and you could see their metal interiors and wires as they moved up and down in the pole. They were, however, wearing high heels. Unlike many of the big tech gimmicks you'll hear about from this week's CES show, the robot pole dancers aren't courtesy of a massive multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're work of an artist named Giles Walker, a 50-year-old Brit who describes himself as a scrap metal artist with a passion for building animatronic robots. He should go work for Disney. One of the other projects, called The Last Supper, features 13 robots interacting around a table. Walker says that he got the idea for pole dancing robots. Of course, we go from the Last Supper to pole dancing robots. More than 7 years ago, when he noticed the rise of CCTV cameras being used as a way to surveil people in Britain for safety purposes, which he calls mechanical peeping toms. He was inspired by the idea of voyeurism and watching others for pleasure and decided to turn the cameras into something sexy on the road. So, in other words, he's kind of a weirdo. There's a challenge, he says, from a back table at the Sapphire Club, his robotic creations gyrating some 30 feet away. I think if you are a painter, you might want to paint a beautiful woman, and it makes it beautiful. I am a sculptor, and I wanted to do something that was sexy, unquote. His robots have become a hit, not just at CES. Walker says that he will rent them out for corporate parties, usually full of men in shirts, he says, and referred to the robots as his, quote, Christmas jingle, which may help pay the bills in a profession where money isn't always easy to come by. But while the pole dancing robots may have just been a silly side effect of CES a few years ago, tech giants grappling with the industry's obvious issues of sexism and gender disparity are now putting stripper robots in a very different light. CES has already been called out for lack of gender diversity by some of our social warriors, and some see the dancing robots as yet another example of a chauvinist industry lacking awareness. Walker, for his part, sees different concerns with this creation. The rise of human-like robots is coming, he says, bringing with them the sex industry, and it'll be particularly problematic. They will invent a sex robot, he says, and everyone is striving to do it. And I've been approaching that as well, but I think it is a really dark area, and I loathe to go there. And my worry is, and this is really crude, but it is a crude idea. If you build a robot that you can have sex with, then you can build a robot that you can do all kinds of horrible things with. And it is all supposedly going to be legal, Walker continued. But because it is legal doesn't mean it is a healthy thing. The dark side of the sex industry will create some really nasty, nasty stuff. And I think to myself, quote, is it worth it, unquote. Walker is now dealing with the reality that his creations are indeed associated with sex. Yeah, well, he put him in a strip club. And while he may not like where the industry is headed, it can be difficult to get out altogether, right? That dangling carrot sucked you right in. I don't build these to get involved in the sex industry. They weren't about sex. They were about voyeurism, he added. Yeah. Well, connect the dots there. And I've been dragged into the side of things unintentionally, but of course I am not complaining. It does pay the bills, and I am a robot pimp in that way. So where do we go from here? We had Billy Gates come out a while ago and talk about a way to finance the robots taking all of our jobs by putting a tax on robots that then will help fund some sort of universal basic income, and that'll be the money raining from the sky. Remember, they've already warned it's not going to be very much, but it'll be money raining from the sky to help you get along in this new digital world, this digital everything that is coming to be able to buy and sell and interact with all of commerce and with your lifestyle, even getting into your place of residence and recording your identity and your property and all of the legal interactions that you are forced to have with society on a daily basis. And if you don't participate in this system that will be, quote unquote, optional, it's not going to be optional, because if you don't participate, you won't be able to get the basics for life. There is a story that came out of the San Francisco Chronicle, January 21st, 2018, titled, Don't Tax the Robots. Don't tax the robots. A little notice consequence of tax reform signed by President Trump is a dramatic increase in tax incentives to acquire robots instead of hiring workers. Now, that really caught my attention because he has now written into law that businesses can claim up to 100% upfront expense deduction for purchasing automation equipment that is displacing human workers. Now remember, when he was first elected and he was thumping on the campaign trail about bringing jobs back to the United States, let's get our manufacturing working again. And I had warned you that his idea at that time of manufacturing was not going to be the factories of old. It was going to be smart factories loaded with industrial automation and technology that would not require humans. Well, it looks like he backdoored it all. He is going to give it to you almost for free up front. Deduct it all. And there is no equivalent tax benefit for preserving or increasing jobs for humans. In February, Bill Gates embraced a seemingly simple answer to this problem. If robots are taking away jobs from humans, then you should tax the robots to slow the pace of automation and use that money to benefit displaced workers. Since then, proponents of robot taxes have gained momentum across the globe, with proposals surfacing in the United Kingdom, South Korea, and elsewhere. The rise of automation and technological advances in artificial intelligence means that more and more people will face the risk of being replaced by a machine or an algorithm. A recent report from McKinsey & Company estimates that up to 1/3 of all the jobs in the world could be automated by 2030. And now the leader of a statewide effort in California to impose a tax on businesses installing, quote, robots, algorithms, and other forms of automation is a candidate for mayor of San Francisco. And if robot tax can be enacted in San Francisco, the epicenter of innovation, the momentum for such proposals will elsewhere only increase. And the enthusiasms of robot tax proponents is matched by a lack of detail on how such taxes would work. Unfortunately, robot taxes are so difficult to administer that they could not solve the problem that they are meant to address. And the first problem, well, how about micropayments on some sort of blockchain for every bit of production that the robot does? And it doesn't include the laptop, which I am writing this article, which arguably displaces a professional typist. How about an ATM, which takes the place of a bank teller? And who would pay robot tax? Robots don't earn wages yet or have a bank account. So a tax on robots would either have to be paid directly by consumers or by businesses that will inevitably pass the cost along to consumers. Well, how about for processing work within the ecosystem? They get micropayments from each other to process work, and as they put it into their electronic wallet, they use that to then pay into a larger fund that then gets distributed one way or another to another group of individuals who are unemployed, but maybe lending their CPU power to crunch blocks on the blockchain. We've been working on a blockchain article, so I keep trying to apply it to things. But either way, they need to provide a tax that is meant to help human non-workers that would not punish consumers. So how is the tax to be calculated? Proponents usually reference the amount of payroll taxes that would have been paid by the now displaced workers. And if there is always a clear correlation between jobs lost and robots acquired, then, but don't worry about it because real life isn't so simple. Assessing a robot tax would degenerate into a fact-specific debate between the IRS and businesses over whether how many workers were actually displaced. And based upon my own experiences litigating tax cases, and that would be the author of the story, I know that a robot tax would inevitably lead to a morass of tax disputes that would definitely only tax lawyers and accountants would benefit. And the risk of displacement by automation is a real concern. And tax policy can be part of the solution. A tax credit for employing and or retraining displaced workers would provide such an incentive, and they used to have that quite a few years ago. So would a cut in the payroll taxes, which would essentially punish employers, which essentially now punishes employers for hiring human employees. The efforts of policymakers should be dedicated to finding real solutions to the problem of worker displacement, and robot tax proposals make for great sound bites, but they really don't work. So I guess the assessment of that is don't tax the robots. So where do we go from here? So a big part of working with robots, of course, is some sort of artificial intelligence. And to get a good artificial intelligence, they have to build good neural networks that work similar to the brain. And as they are building neural networks that work like brains, they're working on understanding the brain. Well, hold on one second, because I'm waiting for a tab to load. Hopefully I don't have to sing the elephant song, but I might have to. Uh-oh, oh no, all right, here we go. We came back. All right, talking about understanding the brains and technology companies, we've looked a lot at how places such as Facebook, they had a couple former executives come out talking about them manipulating people by pushing the dopamine button. Boop, boop, boop. And I saw at the Davos conference that is going on this week that even George Soros came out and criticized companies such as Google and Facebook for manipulating people like he should talk. Well, this was a story that caught my attention December 5th, 2017. And a listener had sent this to me. Samsung, remember Samsung? I think they're out of South Korea. And they actually have a military arm as well as a biotechnology arm. Samsung just hypnotized me through my computer screen. And this is out of CNET.com. The application is called Unspoil Me, and it promises to let you rewatch their favorite TV shows as if it were the very first time. Here's everything I experienced while trying to forget the series, or maybe it was a movie, Big Little Lies. It is not every Tuesday morning that I sit at my desk, and then as the author, what's his name, Katie Collins. It is not every Tuesday morning that I sit at my desk, headphones on, eyes closed, willing myself to fall into a trance, but some mornings the internet sends strange things your way. On Tuesday in the early January, Reddit tipped me off to Samsung's Swedish site, which features a hypnotherapy service called Unspoil Me. It is an unusual bit of marketing, but the company says that it worked with 2 hypnotists to develop its website, and it claims that you will, quote, experience your favorite TV series as if it were the very first time, unquote. Well, sign me up, says the author. I decided to see if the service could help me forget this HBO miniseries called Big Little Lies, partly because it is the best thing I have watched this year, and partly because it was pictured in the Unspoil Me page. I put on my headphones, ticked a box confirming that I was quote-unquote fully mentally healthy, and then clicked through to start the hypnosis session. A littling Swedish voice told me to relax and focus on the swirling image on my screen, and I concentrated for a few minutes before it occurred to me that I should probably let my colleagues know what I was up to. So I took my headphones off to tell them I was being hypnotized by my computer, and not to disturb me. Still, throughout the whole process, I was anxious that someone was going to tap me on the shoulder. This constant low-lying anxiety got worse every time I was told to relax, so go figure. The voice then told me to close my eyes and count backwards from 300. And while I was counting, the voice told me a lovely story about trees, which made it almost impossible to concentrate on the numbers. I got to about 282 before I was told to imagine going down 10 stairs to a place of greater relaxation. Directions for when I should go down each step were precise and weaved into a moralistic story about an emperor and a chess player. Oh, my God. And it was during this story that I first had to try really hard to not think about Big Little Lies. The harder I tried, though, the more I kept picturing Nicole Kidman, who plays Celeste Wright in the show. And I couldn't stop thinking about how tall she is, especially compared to co-star Reese Witherspoon, no matter how many scenes featuring both of the actors were filmed with them sitting down. The voice said something about the importance of counting, but I know it had skipped step 6 and step 4, but maybe also step 2. I felt like the voice was trying to trick me. It probably was there, honey. And I picked up on it, saying that I had passed a test. Or maybe I had failed because I clearly wasn't in a trance. Every step the voice sent me down doubled in height. And by the time we got to the final step, I was picturing myself hanging off the edge of a cliff. Oh, my God. And I finally let go and fell into the darkness. Woo! Down into the dark spiral. How frightening is this? And landing was nice and soft, like it was a mat from gym class. I rolled over and stood up and immediately saw Witherspoon's character vomiting all over her ex-husband's new wife. And Bonnie tried to be patient with Madeline, but boy, was she mad. The voice told me I should be physically and mentally relaxed at this point, and this girl seems obsessed with the series. And I checked to see how relaxed I physically felt. My fingers, which had been laced in front of me on my desk since the beginning of the hypnosis, now felt totally numb, almost like I had one big hand instead of two. Concentrate, I told myself, and the voice guided me through different light tunnels, a red one, a yellow one, purple, and white, and I wondered if I could remember the Big Little Lies theme music, but I only could picture Witherspoon driving over Bixby Creek Bridge. Concentrate, I told myself again, as I heard a colleague laugh on the other side of my headphones. Now I was standing on a timeline of my own life, and in front of me was supposed to be the future, but all I could see was a staircase sweeping down into a double-height, glass-fronted living room and the Malibu coastline beyond. I remember which bits of Big Little Lies had actually been filmed in Monterey, California, which is where the series is set. So then I tried not to remember any of the show. I said, this girl sounds like she has an obsession. But in my mind, I could see Witherspoon's hair blowing in the wind as she gazed out over the Pacific Ocean. The voice told me to float back to the point on my timeline before I watched Big Little Lies, and then turn around looking ahead to the point in the future where I wanted to watch it again for the very first time. It was like I was floating over a penultimate scene of the show, the one where everything is revealed, trying not to see the spoilers, and I used all of the mental strength I could to muster to banish it from my mind as the voice ordered me to zoom back up my timeline to the present day. Then the voice sent me into the future. Oh my God, this sounds dizzying. And enjoy the feeling of anticipation as you sit down to watch her show again, said the voice. And the memory of watching it before should be fuzzy, the voice said. And Nicole Kidman's supersized face floated back into view, and she was giving me that suspicious, super intense look she does so well. Nicole Kidman knows the truth, I thought. She knows it isn't fuzzy. And then the voice counted me out of my trance, and I felt hugely relieved. The anxiety in my chest immediately vanished. So the recommendation is that you sleep on it before rewatching the show of your choice and allow the hypnosis to work its magic in your dreams. I don't know about this. This sounds pretty insane. So wait, let's go to the website. I will put it in the notes. I'll put the link in the notes. It's from Samsung.com. And I don't want a transcript. Hold on, let's see if I can get there because it took me away. I wanted to go to the Q&A, read more section. So here it starts out, and this is from Samsung's own site. The possibility to forget your favorite TV series through hypnosis. Below you will find the answers to some of the most common questions regarding the hypnosis and why we at Samsung have created Unspoil Me. Why has Samsung created Unspoil Me? Well, with the Samsung QLED TV, we wanted to offer you an amazing binge-watching experience with a wide range of content and remarkable picture quality. So this is just a total marketing stunt, but they are not even hiding the idea that they are trying to manipulate your brain. There is only one thing that could ruin your experience, and that you already know how everything ends. That is why we created Unspoil Me, a tool that gives you the possibility to forget your your favorite TV series so you can re-experience it with the same thrilling feel you had the first time that you watched it. Does hypnosis require a Samsung QLED in order to work? Well, no. However, we do recommend that you go out and buy a brand new Samsung TV since it offers a wide range of content and remarkable picture quality. Well, how does the hypnosis work? Well, you decide what TV series you'd like to forget, and then you'll be guided through a self-hypnosis in a digital audio experience led by a certified hypnotist. The experience lasts for about 23 minutes and has to be experienced without interruption. Therefore, we recommend you use headphones and make sure you are in a place where you will not be disturbed, probably warm and under a blanket. And once you've completed the hypnosis, it is recommended that you get one night's sleep before you watch your favorite TV series again, in order for your brain to integrate the hypnosis with the rest of your body. Well, what can I forget? Unspoil Me is designed to give you the possibility to forget a TV series, movie, or video. You won't forget anything you don't want to. This is crazy. So, are there any risks? Well, hypnosis is a natural state of mind, and it is done on your terms, so it is up to you if and when you would like to cancel. People suffering from mental illness or epilepsy should not go through the hypnosis. And for more information, please read the terms and conditions that you will find in connection with the audio experience. And I don't have those in front of me. So how crazy is that? So where do we go from here? Talking about creating and emulating brains. This is a story I came across in the notes of a show. Maybe this was even the show that I aired yesterday, but I thought it was something that it was good to mention again. They have built a brain from atomic switches that can actually learn. A tiny self-organized mesh of artificial synapses recalls his experiences and can solve simple problems, and its inventors hope that it points the way to devices that can match the brain's energy-efficient computing prowess. Now, if you remember, in the show we did live on Wednesday, we covered a story titled MIT Engineers Have Designed a Chip That Behaves Like Brain Cell Connections, and this was an artificial synapse as part of this neuromorphic computing initiative that they are working on. Well, they have created a brain that can learn from atomic switches. Brains beyond their signature achievements in thinking and problem solving are paragons for energy efficiency, and the human brain's power consumption resembles that of a 20-watt incandescent light bulb. In contrast, one of the world's largest and fastest supercomputers, and that would be the K-Kobe in Japan, assumes as much as 9.8 megawatts of energy, an amount roughly equivalent to the power usage of 10,000 households. Yet in 2013, even with that much power, it took machines 40 minutes to simulate just a single second's worth of 1% of human brain activity. So now engineering researchers at the California Nanosystems Institute in Los Angeles are hoping to match some of the brain's computational and energy efficiency with systems that mirror the brain's structure. They are building a device, perhaps the very first one, that is, quote, inspired by the brain to generate the properties that enable the brain to do what it does, says Adam Stieg, a research scientist and associate director of the institute, who leads this project with Jim Gimnitsky, a professor of chemistry at UCLA. This device is a far cry from conventional computers, which are based on wires imprinted on silicon chips and ordered in patterns. These current pilot versions are 2 millimeter by 2 millimeter meshes of silver nanowires connected to artificial synapses, just like the ones we read about on Wednesday. Unlike silicon circuitry with its geometric precision, this device is messy, like, quote, a highly interconnected plate of noodles, unquote, Stieg says. And instead of being designed, the fine structure of the UCLA device essentially self-organized out of random chemical and electrical processes. Yet in its complexity, the silver mesh network resembles the brain, and the mesh itself boasts about 100 billion artificial synapses per square centimeter, which is within a couple orders of magnitude of the very real thing. This network's electrical activity also displays a property unique to complex systems like the brain, and that is called criticality, which is a state between order and chaos, which is indicative of maximum efficiency. Now, what's interesting about that is a state between order and chaos almost sounds a little something like quantum, where you have that state where it can be on and off at the very same time. And moreover, preliminary experiments suggest that this neuromorphic, which is brain-like, silver wire mesh has a great functional potential. It can already perform simple learning and logistical operations, and it can clean the unwanted noise from received signals, which is a capability that is important for voice recognition and similar tasks that challenge conventional computers. And its existence proves that principle that it might be possible one day to build a device that can compute with the energy efficiency close to that of a brain. These advantages look especially appealing as limits of miniaturization, and that gets down to a nanoscale, and efficiency for silicon microprocessors now looms. Moore's law is dead. Transistors are no longer getting smaller, and people are going, oh my God, what do we do now? Says Alex Nugent, CEO of Santa Fe-based neuromorphic computing company called KNOWM, which is KNOWM, who is not involved in the UCLA project. I am very excited, he says, about the idea and the direction of their work. Traditional computing platforms are 1 billion times less efficient. Energy efficiency was not Gumuski's motivation when he started the Silver Wire project 10 years ago. So I wonder if that's how long these silver nanowires have been growing. Rather, it was boredom. He was bored. So after using scanning, tunneling microscopes to look at electronics at an atomic scale for 20 years, he said, I was tired of perfectionism and precise control and got a little bored with reductionism. So in 2007, he accepted the invitation to study atomic switches developed by a group led at the International Center for Materials Architectronics in Tezuka, Japan, and the switches contain the same ingredients that turn a silver spoon black when it touches an egg, and that would be silver sulfide sandwiched between solid metallic silver. By applying voltages to the devices, it pushes positively charged silver ions out of the silver sulfide toward a silver cathode ray, where they are reduced to a metallic silver. And I'm not going to read exactly how this works. Soon after developing the switch, however, they started to see irregular behavior. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that if we don't get there today, maybe on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. And the more often the switch was used, the more easily it would turn on. When it went unused for a while, it would slowly turn off by itself, and this effect, which was remembered in its history, and this is something that the brain does. This is building stronger connections. All right, so where do we go from here? I want to talk about some of these disruptive technologies, how they are moving forward, and how this technology is working at an exponential rate, moving faster than we can even fathom. This was a story that came out of SingularityWeblog.com by Nikolaev Danielov. And this is someone who I'd like to really try and get on the show one of these days. This is a story he wrote January 14th, 2018, titled On Singularity University, and that is the organization with Kurzweil and Demazias, and the dangers of being exponential. Singularity University has a religious fetish for its sacred words, those words being disrupt, innovate, and most of all, exponential. Just listen to any recent Singularity University alumni, and you can't help but hear disrupt here, innovate there, and most of all, exponential everywhere. I really want to get to this. This is where we're going to start the next show. All right, guys, have an awesome weekend, and I will catch up with you next week. Take care.